Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to finish assembling my N54 and put it back in the car. I'm going to start by putting the outlets on. Next up, I'm going to install the crank seal protector. There's going to be 6 E10s holding the crank pulley onto the crank. You remove these 2 bolts here. Here's the new seal kit that I purchased. It's made from aluminum. So the crank seal is being replaced on this. Hopefully it hasn't thrown a belt or anything in the past, but you basically, and by the way, that's pretty sloppy, but doesn't appear to be leaking. So you use the supplied hardware. Just make sure you go around this so that it's not contacting the crankshaft. There appears to be adequate clearance. I'm ready to bolt the transmission up to it now. For now, I'm going to park it and I'll come back and we'll put the flywheel and clutch on and get ready to put it back in the car. Okay, it's time to get the engine removed from the stand so we can attach the transmission, flywheel, etc. For anyone wondering, I upgraded the piston to an 8-ton because my other one was leaking. If you guys are wondering, I covered this in my manual conversion video, talk about the torque specs and everything for these bolts. And you should technically use red Loctite on these to really ensure they can't back out unless you're very confident in the way you torque them. Now we'll torque these to 89 foot-pounds. I'm using my makeshift clutch alignment tool from my manual conversion video. Getting the clutch, the side with writing goes toward the gearbox. So there's a nice even gap all the way around. The self-adjusting clutch stayed in its default position, which is good. So just to ensure that that can't move, I'll keep the screwdriver in here while I'm tightening things down. I've been keeping my eye on this line here, making sure that clutch is in its default position at base adjustment. These are all supposed to be at 11 foot-pounds. Plus an additional 90 degrees, which should equate to about 22 foot-pounds. All right, let's get this motor put back in the car. So that's the engine mostly in position. I'm going to put the driver's side mount on now. I'm going to get the car jacked up now so I can go after the transmission mounting. I'm going to bring the intake manifold over now. I connected all the electrical connectors and whatnot here. I had already replaced all these gaskets. I'm going to be initiating the bleed procedure now. Should take about 10 minutes or so. So it's full of coolant, oil, and power steering fluid. I'm going to crank it for about 30 seconds or so to fill up the oil cooler and also to just prime everything before I give it a start. All the injectors are disconnected. Alright, so now everything should be full of oil. I'm putting it on auto charge while I reassemble the front end, and we'll be ready to give it a start soon. Alright guys, this will be a first start with the new engine. Let's see what happens. Alright, try number 2. I left this one line loose. Alright, so it's running smooth now. It just took a couple minutes to iron out a rough idle, and then it went really smooth. All's fine, no codes, but annoyingly the crank seal plate seems to be contacting the crank pulley. As it warmed up, it kind of must have expanded and leaned toward the pulley, which is not really a great design in my opinion, but it's getting quieter. It's kind of just like shaving that little bit of material away, and it's almost gone. But I'll just have to, I don't want to take it all apart just to look at that, so I'll just drive on it like this for a bit, see if it goes silent. Otherwise I'll have to change that plate. But for now, let's give it a start. Warm restart. Alright, the car sat for a little while now. Let's get a restart and then we'll conclude this video. Alright guys, just got back from a test drive. It's running really smooth. There is a little bit of contact noise from the crank seal plate that was much louder when I first got the motor running, and it's nearly gone now. So I think it's just going to work itself out, but I'm not too thrilled about that, but it is what it is. So that concludes this series where I get the engine put back into the car. If this is the first video you're catching on mine, please consider subscribing. I do upload regularly. Thanks for watching.